In the year 2140, women have risen to prominence and gained social authority, enabling them to propel humanity forward rapidly via discipline, peace, and significant technological advancements. They have established a colony in the countryside rather than a city, and an AI housekeeper looks after all the household duties, including cooking, manufacturing new clothes for the owners, and monitoring their health. There isn't any violence, and small infractions like putting the trash in the wrong can are punished with fines. All of this has led to an average life expectancy of 150 years. Social points are their unit of account. They gain them for being obedient and lose them for misbehaving. Additionally, pauses are taken for nothing more than hugs. When men ruled society, hate and violence were the only things they brought with them, which led to conflicts and climate change, as history instructor Rada explains to the class. Then, in 2030, amid a battle between North Korea and the United States, some scientists created a virus that would wipe out every member of the US military. But the virus rapidly spread to the rest of the planet, killing 99% of the world's male population. At that point, women took charge and undid all the harm that males had caused, improving conditions for everyone on Earth. Male newborns are incredibly rare these days, and the ones that are born are placed in the slums. Males are viewed as apes because they are thought to be unclean, lack intelligence, and solely care about having sex and using violence. They only have a 30-year lifespan as well. Rada takes the girls on a field trip, and Mila is fascinated by the impoverished areas. The impoverished areas are actually ancient cities with limited access to basic amenities and extremely outdated technology. Gera is a man who lives in these slums and is yearning to have sex with a woman. Baron, the slum's chief, is another. He frequently gives lectures to win over the other guys to his cause and wants to create a rebellion against the women. When Rada and her class arrive and interrupt today's speech, the men become irate because they feel like they're being treated like animals. As a joke, one of them pulls down his pants. Nevertheless, a girl interprets it as a greeting and lifts her skirt in return. As Rada sends the girls back to the bus because the males are getting aroused, she discovers Mila is gone. Since animals are prohibited in the colony, Rada races to find Mila and discovers her marveling at a duck. Mila had never seen an animal before. When they scream and a guy notices them, Gera kills the animal to shock them and hides them right away. Gera kisses Rada after the man leaves, causing her to become alarmed and blow her emergency whistle. Gera's head hurts from the loudness, but it also lets the men know where they are, so they soon locate them. After taking them to meet Baron, the latter decides to have a slapping contest in which the victor gets to slap the women. Entering the competition out of a desire to keep children safe, Gera becomes anxious when he discovers his opponent is a giant. The man responds instantly with a slap of his own after Gera gives him a feeble slap. Fortunately, he moves slowly, so Gera easily avoids him and knocks out Baron in the process. Rada and Mila dash back to their bus, which is protected from the guys by a force field, while everyone is preoccupied. Because Baron's men wish to punish him, Gera flees as well, following the girls as they board the bus. Later on, as a bus comes by the impoverished area to pick up some batteries, Gera emerges from behind the battery barrels. He meets Yuli, the owner of the bus, who is one of the few affluent men who is permitted to become pregnant by women. Yuli works as a seed keeper. When they arrive at the colony, Yuli consents to let Gera out because the bus is operating on autopilot and cannot stop. As they converse, Yuli consumes a large amount of Gera's moonshine and becomes so inebriated that he jumps off the vehicle into the forest. Resolved to flee from Baron's troops, Gera dons Yuli's extra outfit and poses as a brand new seed keeper. Soon after, Gera arrives at the settlement known as Two Hills, where he is welcomed inside by an imperceptible wall. Gera is taken aback by the sheer number of girls who are happy to have him around as a woman shows him around the facility. On live television that evening, Gera bites into the holy fruit and swears to bear intelligent and healthy children. He's brought to the reproduction chambers since he wants to start working right away, and there he encounters a woman he doesn't find attractive at all. His dismay grows when, out of nowhere, a pipe is attached to his groin and begins to milk him. He thinks about Rada to distract himself, and while playing with a toy, Rada thinks about him too. The following day, Gera is brought to the reproduction facility, where stunning women tend to the seed keepers. Gera is content to be pampered all day with delicious meals and massages, but he becomes stiff from the attention. In an attempt to find relief in his hand, he dashes to the bathroom, setting off an alarm. It finds out that the colony forbids both sexual relations and self-relief. Mila alerted the authorities about what happened during the class trip, thus Radha and her family are currently at the local court, where they must now determine whether Radha and Mila are guilty. When Radha confides in her closest friend Aya about the kiss, Aya reassures her that no one will find out. Radha is scared. When Vera, Mila's mother, tries to put the responsibility for everything on Radha, Radha responds by claiming that they went to the slums at Mila's request and provides evidence in the form of a recording from her AI. Aya interrupts to tell everyone about the kiss just as it looks like Radha might prevail. The women are all appalled, and Aya receives 20 social points while Radha must perform 80 hours of community service as punishment. Returning to Yuli, he travels to the slums where he receives assistance from Gera's grandfather, who advises him to remain anonymous. Following Yuli's introduction to Baron, the latter breaks his finger since he can sense right away that Yuli is hiding something. In addition, Baron requests his pants, which he removes to the amazement of all who sees how manly he is. Baron is currently the second biggest man in the region. One of the few ladies in the slums approaches Yuli later after obtaining a haircut and offers to cure his finger. The giant dares Yuli to a slap fight after Baron, who is envious, informs the giant that Yuli is attempting to take his wife. The monster starts the fight with an incredible slap that knocks Yuli down as the entire community gathers to witness, but to everyone's astonishment, he gets back up immediately. The behemoth is then knocked unconscious when Yuli smacks him back with startling force. He now gets to have wicked fun with the giant's spouse. The seed keepers are taken for a trip around the colony and informed of all the regulations, such as needing permission to fart and using a capsule to do so. They finally arrive at a statue of Greta Thunberg, who is revered as a goddess in this place. As everyone is preoccupied with prayer, Gera grows weary of the regulations and persuades a few guys to go out and enjoy themselves. They dash to the neighboring sea to catch fish because it is easily accessible. The others then observe that Gera is in violation of both prohibitions because his legs aren't shaved and he is carrying a lighter. Rather than questioning his identity, they are impressed and believe it to be a component of Gera's rebellious persona. After enjoying a great time together in the sea, the group lights a fire to cook their fish, but the smoke sets off a fire alarm, and a fictitious cloud descends to rain on them. They are told that their punishment upon their return to the center will be a re-education tour of the Museum of Patriarchy. Later, when Gera tries to mix a cocktail, the self-pleasure alert goes off because of her gestures. He then tries with his other hand, but nothing happens, proving that the movement reading ring they are made to wear is what's doing the reading. The males can now use their own hands to become dirty in privacy. The following day, while receiving a massage, Gera unexpectedly learns that Radha, who was put here as a punishment, is his caregiver. Startled, Gera acts as though he has injured his ankle and is carried out right away. Subsequently, Gera's rebel group is brought to the Museum of Patriarchy, where they watch a number of presentations teaching him the new norms, which include the notions that men should rule, women should be the superior race, and sexual activity is repugnant. From a distance, Radha and her grandma Zoya observe the lads being indoctrinated, giggling at how awkward Gera is. Speaking of Gera's cuteness, Zoya requests Radha to keep his name a secret rather than reporting him. When the lads get back to the reproduction base, Gera tells the others that what they thought they saw was fake and that it's okay to feel desires. Before things get out of hand, Gera intervenes and sends the man away because one of the men gets too enthusiastic about the notion and begs Radha to undress. Though appreciative, Radha still threatens to expose Gera's cover if he doesn't leave the city. Yuli has gained a lot of popularity in the slums. Baron commands his right-hand man Krysa and several of his men to assassinate Yuli because he believes he is losing control. In an apparent ruse to find supplies, the group asks Yuli to accompany them. But Yuli makes an impression on everyone by doing a fantastic job at her work and finding heaps of food. Even though Krysa tries to fight him, his blows are ineffective. The squirrels, a rival gang, finds them unexpectedly, but Yuli quickly scares them all away. Even more impressed, Krysa and the other men choose not to murder him. In the meantime, it comes to light that Baron and Vera are secretly having an affair through which Vera gets knowledge of what goes on in the slums. Following a passionate evening, she chooses to peruse the latest seed keeper's profiles and discovers that a primate has taken the place of the actual Yuli. Her first action is to sound a warning siren across the colony, forcing a scared Gera to flee. But as soon as he gets to the borders, an unseen barrier stops him, forcing him to hide. Gera catches Radha as he's sneaking around, and she offers her assistance in return for all the times he's saved her. When police began to show up in the vicinity, Radha attempted to flee with Gera, but Aya saw them. When Baron finds Yuli alive in the slums, he demands an explanation from his men. After Yuli responds that the slums too deserve a democracy, Krysa notes that Yuli has saved lives and that's why they want him around. When the Baron refuses to cede control, Yuli rallies the villagers around his window and incites a disturbance, insisting that things be done correctly. Vera advises Baron to enforce his rules on the crowd when he seeks for help since he feels nervous. Ultimately, Baron consents to hold an election so that the populace can select a new leader. Following Yuli's departure, Baron invites Krysa to run for office as well in the hopes of forcing Yuli to lose by splitting the votes among his own men. That evening, all of the locals vote in a restroom, and Baron uses the restroom to urinate in order to skew the results. In the end, his ploy backfires because Krysa receives 18 votes, while he only receives his own. Due to the widespread mistrust of outsiders among men, Yuli only received 16. Krysa consents to be Baron's puppet in private. Coming full circle, Rada and Gera wind up sheltering at Zoya's house. With her illegal pet, Zoya conceals the two of them in the closet when Vera's assistant arrives to check the house. The cat sneezes and bursts their cover as Vera's helper begins searching the house. Zoya strikes the assistant in the head to knock her unconscious before they can be taken into custody. Subsequently, Zoya takes out her antiquated bicycle and instructs Gera to utilize it to traverse the imperceptible barrier, as only entities surpassing 80 km per hour may break through it. When Rada's mother Elena sees them being unfaithful, Zoya throws her on the ground, allowing the two to get away. The two climb aboard the bike and ride as quickly as they can to the borders, which fortunately works and lets them pass through the barrier. Luckily, they carried spares because the impact ruins both the bike and their clothes. They build a fire after that and spend the night in the wilderness. The following morning, when Gera catches a squirrel for breakfast, Rada, who has always been a vegetarian, yells in dismay at seeing an animal that has been roasted. This draws the notice of some men nearby, who pursue them right away. As a result, Rada and Gera are forced to flee while the men shoot arrows at them. Sadly, Rada trips over a broken tree, breaking her leg, which causes a delay that lets the guys apprehend them. After being brought to the slums, Baron tries to approach Rada too closely, but Gera stops him. Since males are now expected to be democratic, Krysa plans to host a slap competition, with the winner receiving Rada. This gives other guys an opportunity to be with Rada too. Subsequently, Baron deceives Vera by claiming not to have seen the runaways. Later, Yuli goes to see Rada in an attempt to persuade her that the slums are wonderful. However, Rada shares all of their privileges in 2 hills and, with a single hug, ends up winning Yuli over. After everyone goes to bed, they make the decision to flee together. Outside, Krysa forces the villagers to cast ballots for a new constitution, reading only the exciting portions aloud and keeping the clause stating that Baron will take over as leader in 2 weeks a secret. Without knowing the facts, everyone votes in favor of it because they are excited. Yuli meets Rada in the middle of the night, and together they wait for everyone to go to sleep. He offers her a drink, which causes her to feel lightheaded right away. He then tries to take advantage of her by saying he doesn't really want to go. When Gera gets there, he discovers that Yuli is crying and that Rada kicked him in the groin to get away. Yuli goes to confront Baron and Krysa and declares that he will now be the new leader while Gera rushes to get Rada. He approaches Rada softly, and tells her he won't do anything to her if she doesn't want to after much searching and finding her sitting by the fire in the wilderness. After that, he gives Rada some fried chicken, and she's amazed at how delicious it is. All of a sudden, Rada decides to have sex with Gera after reasoning that if eating meat is so wonderful, it must be much better. They are about to begin when Elena and the 2 guards interrupt and take them into custody right away. A tranquilizer pistol is used to shoot Gera when they return to the colony. When they get at 2 hills, Elena begs Vera to pardon Rada and promises to turn Gera in so that Vera can publicly chastise him in return. Vera concurs, believing this will help her political future. Following that, the council convenes and agrees to have Gera put to death. Gera wakes up later, tethered to a chair. After receiving a special injection from the women, Gera asks to say goodbye to Rada when they ask for his final desire. Rada is moved by these remarks and rushes to give him a kiss. Sadly, this is really a vision he is experiencing while being held in a cell with extremely sophisticated equipment monitoring his thoughts. His delusions are shown on TV, complete with advertisements, so that everyone may see what horrible men can be. Aya visits Rada in the interim and shares with her Gera's vision of their kiss, which prompts Rada to approach the other seed keepers and persuade them to assist her in rescuing Gera. They all go up at the council headquarters soon after to demand Gera's release. Gera experiences a vision of a glowing wheel that determines his fate, becoming a plastic bag that will allow him to fly, while receiving his second injection. When the other seed keepers witness this, they denounce the women's brutality and vow to stop producing seeds until Gera is freed. Gera's thoughts are benign, similar to the vision he's now experiencing of himself and Radha in the Titanic finale, so no one believes Vera when she comes out and attempts to prove that Gera is a monkey who doesn't belong in civilization. Vera offers to release Gera so that someone can accept accountability for him and his future deeds, and Radha agrees to do so by swearing on an apple. Vera doesn't want to lose the seed production. Elena takes similar precautions to keep her daughter safe. Then, after visiting the death room, Radha eventually leads Gera outside so they may take him to a guest home. Gera tries to take advantage of the opportunity to engage in conversation with her, but after all this chaos, Radha decides to go. Before they eventually start working, Radha returns a short while later and gives Gera a kiss. But as soon as they're finished, Radha heads to the restroom to use a toy to wrap things up. Gera attempts to follow her and express her regret for disappointing her, but then she wakes up and realizes it was all a dream. Radha and Elena arrive to clarify a few things while Gera tries to comprehend every machine in the house. He has 300 social points in his ring. If he disobeys, he will deduct points, and if he has 0 points, he will face consequences. Gera instantly loses 13 points for using profanity and not eating his food. Together, Radha and Gera depart for the day and stroll through the colony, where Gera continues to face prejudice due to her primate status. They eventually join a volleyball match, but because of Gera's competitive nature, which is unusual for their group, the girls start fighting. Elena, meantime, makes the decision to enter the forthcoming election as the colony leader and begins by purchasing the votes of the seed keepers. She showers them with gifts and vows to legalize sex if she prevails, holding up her chest to demonstrate her intentions. Yuli discovers a letter from Gera in the slums, explaining that he fled with Radha. Yuli gets drunk and smashes a table out of anger. He discovers a strange lock in Baron's office while playing around and breaks it to reveal the ring Baron used to talk to Vera. All heads to Yuli for help when the electricity unexpectedly goes out. He tries the phone and speaks with Vera after learning that Baron has contacts in the city, but she hangs up on him right away. A bee passes by at that very moment, and Yuli follows it right away to locate the beehive. Since honey is scarce these days, Julius brings the hive down to fill a jar, only to have the bees sting him several times in the process. He meets with Vera in the evening and offers her the honey. Nevertheless, he requests to be returned to 2 hills rather than electricity. While searching for food nearby, Baron and Chrysa discover a car and a gun-wielding skeleton. After that, they repair the power and go back to the slums, where the pistol gives them power again. Baron tries to stop the squirrels with his gun as they come over to pick up a fight, but they have stronger weaponry and aren't afraid. Baron gives them Chrysa in order to force them to depart. As part of her strategy, Elena has Gera assist in the hatching of a dead bird's eggs in order to boost his standing with the local ladies. Everyone gets a ring message at that precise moment asking them to check the news. When the gang does so, they find Yuli lamenting the way men live and accusing Gera of getting lost while working. When Gera tries to tell the women the truth, they don't accept him and leave him. After that, Vera welcomes Yuli back as a seed keeper and gives Radha the task of tending to him till he recovers. Radha admits that he lied and that he just said such things because Vera forced him to while he looks after Yuli. Reluctantly, Yuli accepts when Radha says that Elena can assist him if he continues to be honest in the future. Gera shows in to confront Yuli about his falsehoods after Radha has left, but he is compelled to stop because all of his swearing lowers his social standing. Yuli simply walks away, and Gera becomes upset and smashes an apple. Afterwards, Gera is shocked to see the councilwomen waiting when he gets back to his flat with Radha and Elena. They have come to accuse Gera of blasphemy because they say she destroyed an apple, a symbol of their civilization. For maximum visibility, the footage is even broadcast on national television. Gera is accused of harassment after losing 100 social points from his wallet. As a result, more points are lost until his wallet is empty. Gera is about to be expelled from the council when he unexpectedly obtains a point for an unidentified donation. As soon as the birds hatch, many women begin to donate points in appreciation for his assistance. The council is forced to resign. Later on, Gera dresses in what he thinks are attractive clothing and makes an effort to flirt with Radha, even giving her beauty points. But Radha loses it and rants at him, accusing him of putting her in danger every time. She asks him to leave her as her rage increases and walks away. Feeling hurt by this, Gara leaves a letter at Radha's door and heads to the colony's borders, where he waits for the guard to come around for hugs before stealing her device. The guard then sounds her whistle to send a drone after him as soon as he disables the barrier and flees the colony. Gara is struck by an oncoming car while keeping a watch on the drone, which leaves him hospitalized. Radha finds the letter at her house, in which Gara apologizes and bids her farewell. Vera urges Baron to send his soldiers to attack 2 hills in the meantime. After Gara recovers and is released from the hospital the next day, Radha and Elena take him to Vera's motherhood function, where the next woman to be inseminated will be selected. Radha acknowledges that she wants to be a mother when Gara and Elena ask her. Vera dares Elena to play every game at the event as part of her campaign plans, but her strategy backfires when Elena beats her each and every time. While this is going on, Radha and Aya visit Zoya's hidden theater, where she is showing a pornographic film that depicts how actual people once became pregnant. The woman appears to be under torture, which horrifies Radha, and she soon leaves. Then she meets Gara, who promises to have a child naturally rather than waiting to be selected by lottery. Aya finds the notion appealing and asks Gara to do the task on her, despite Radha's disapproval. Looking to Radha for approval, Gara accepts to do it with Aya afterwards when she tells him he can do anything he wants. When the lottery winners are announced, everyone assembles, and Radha is shocked to learn that she has won. Simultaneously, Aya brings Gara to her apartment and attempts to mimic what she witnessed in the films. However, Gara finds it awkward and departs. He makes the decision to go back to the event where Radha is speaking, but as soon as she notices him, she stops herself. Radha declines the lottery prize after realizing how Gara feels and approaches her. Unexpectedly, Baron and his guys break into the old automobile. They take Radha hostage right away and start destroying everything in their quest for additional women to breed with. This causes chaos and makes all the ladies flee. When Baron checks for his payment after he has Radha and Elena, he discovers an empty box. When he contacts Vera to ask why, she tells him he knows too much and that he has to leave. One of the lads detonates a milk container to divert Vera's guards from the gang as they are being surrounded and armed. Baron holds Elena at gunpoint and utilizes her as a shield to escape as the gang and Radha flee. Inside the mother center, where all the seed is stored, they hide. Baron wants to offer Elena a gift for saving her life, but Elena tells him Vera would be content to lose the match. As they are now imprisoned, a vengeful Baron begins to accuse Vera of being the cause of everything. When he hears this, Elena offers to take him out in exchange for him telling the police the truth about Vera. He accepts. Subsequently, Baron and Elena depart the building carrying the box that has all of the seed capsules. Baron breaks some of the capsules to keep the guards away when they try to stop them, which allows him to escape. Returning to Baron's men, they seize Zoya and force her to accompany them to her home, where they beg for food and release her. After taking out a crossbow from her drawer and aiming it at them, Zoya decides to become friends with them since she too wants to fight for equality. Meanwhile, Gara saves Radha from being nearly captured by a gang member, and the two of them flee inside a house. Nevertheless, since Radha and Elena have been denied access to all colony benefits, the house AI is unwilling to follow her commands. The two assume Gara is responsible for the attack after seeing that Vera is blaming Gara for everything when they watch the TV. They want to flee once more, but the home won't let them through the door. In the end, Gara and Radha embrace with a kiss. They simply ignore the house AI's requests for them to cease. When Radha learns that this rebellion is causing the system to get confused and compel it to return to its initial settings, she takes advantage of the opportunity to register as a new colony member. At this point, the house yields and lets them out via the door. Vera is being attacked by Zoya and her new gang after they break into her home as Baron is telling Elena about all the illicit things Vera has done. But Yuli intervenes to defend her, wrapping all the boys in a matter of seconds to ensure their detention. Elena and Baron are soon discovered by a horde of security guards, but happily, Gara and Radha in the old car also locate them. Once all the capsules have been dropped, a vengeful Baron drags Gara outside and beats him for causing this entire catastrophe before he escapes in the automobile. Fearing about Gara, Radha tries to wrestle control of the wheel from him, which throws the car off the road and into a muddy river. Vera celebrates by getting into mischief with Yuli as the entire group, aside from Gara, is caught right away. The prisoners are sentenced to clean the Pacific Ocean. A seed keeper named Lucius sobs when he hears on the news that all the seeds have been destroyed. He is abruptly startled by Gera and accuses her of betraying him, but Gera persuades him to assist by disclosing the truth about Vera and Baron. Subsequently, Lucius admits he owns a bicycle, and Gera informs him about the obstacle. Together, they put on a strong pedaling effort and reach a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, effectively overcoming the barrier encircling the colony. Gera and Lucius meet with Gera's grandfather the following day to begin formulating a plan. Calling one of his pals who keeps seeds, Lucius finds out about the punishment in the Pacific Ocean. When Gera discovers that his grandfather has a college photo with Zoya, he becomes extremely delighted to learn that she is still alive and pulls out a laptop to find out where she is. As this is going on, Vera explains that the convict's true punishment will be forced to work as slaves in an apple orchard. Yuli, his grandfather, and Gera soon follow him to the orchard, but a barrier keeps them out. They then see the arrival of the squirrels, who are permitted in since they bring additional slaves, such as Chrysa, for Vera's schemes. Telling Baron he's happy to be here because it's better than the slums, Chrysa lies to him. Additionally, Baron believes him when he suggests that using the trash cans as a means of escape, so he hides in the trash. The squirrels find Gera posing as an inebriated hobo, which causes them to halt in the middle of the road as they depart. They apprehend him right away and bring him to Katia, who takes Gera under his wing as one of his mischievous pets. Later, while Katia visits Vera at the orchard with all of his dogs, the dogs are restrained outdoors while the women eat dinner. After noticing Rada, Gera gives her Lucius rings so she can document the crimes committed here. Rada breaks into Vera and Katia's tent during their evening celebration with the dogs in order to videotape everything. But Yuli interrupts the celebration when she notices Gera's tattoo. Out of disgust, Vera pulls him away, causing the drapes to fall, exposing Rada as well. The guards bring them both outside right once and seize the ring, only to find that some party photos had made it to the colony. Vera is forced to return and take care of the damage. As Aya shows the other ladies in the colony the images that were leaked of Vera and Claudia, Vera interrupts her and claims they are not real. In an attempt to prove they are telling the truth, Vera and Aya begin chewing into an apple, leading the Supreme Mother to determine that further inquiry is necessary before passing judgment. The Supreme Mother still wants to look into the land surrounding the colony, but Vera has to run to her office right now to destroy everything she keeps hidden from the party. Vera is forced to give the order to burn down the orchid. As an employee removes the garbage cans to be emptied, Chrysa's falsehood unintentionally comes true, and Baron escapes. He leaps from the can and dashes through the trees, running into Julius and Gera's grandfather. When Zoya sees that Yuli is interested in Rada at the orchard, she persuades her to make small talk with him. After falling for it, Yuli leads Rada to his tent and tells her that Vera has given the order to set the orchard on fire. Gera knocks him out at that very moment, and the squirrels discover her at the same moment. As the group prepares to punish Gera and Rada, the trash truck pulls up and the Baron gets out brandishing a weapon. When he takes out a squirrel, the others flee in terror, allowing the hostages to break free. Vera pushes a button out of the blue, and the entire orchard explodes in a flash. Vera is chosen to take over as the colony's new leader after some time. She discovers she's been detained and linked to the thought machine when an advertising breaks up her joy during the ceremony. She was apprehended as soon as she walked into Vera's office by the Supreme Mother, who never trusted her. The detainees have successfully escaped, Elena has been chosen as the new leader, Gera and Rada are finally spending time together, and the button was never pressed.